While Najee Harris is slimming down, Chris Boswell is bulking up for the 2024 season. So, the rule changes on the kickoffs have changed, meaning the kickers will have to get more involved in making tackles this season, and Chris Boswell has took a different approach than many. He has decided that he's going to step up to the plate, he wants to make the tackles, and he's going to put on extra weight to do so, ready to make tackles in 2024. So, before I get more into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, like the video. Now, let's get right back into it. The 2024 season should be full of surprises, and a large part of that is the introduction of the new kickoff rule. And in an effort to make the play safer, but also more exciting to watch at the NFL level, the NFL Competition Committee passed the XFL style kickoff rules. The return and coverage units line up closer together and can't move until the ball is caught. One of the unintended consequences of this rule, however, is that the kickers themselves will have to get more involved in tackling. And what does this mean for Chris Boswell? Well, it means that he will have to put on weight, and he's already done so to be able to tackle at a higher clip. Before I get more into Chris Boswell actually bulking up and putting on a weight, let's look at Sean Scheid of Summer Sports, because he put together a really good article breaking down the XFL kickoff stats. And from what it looks like the kickers will have to be more involved in the tackling game. In his findings, the kicker was credited for 3.9% or 14 of the total tackles on the kickoff play. He noted that does not count the missed tackles made by the kickers or plays in which they are involved in, but not fully credited for the tackle. It is going to be a very in-game kind of different style of it. It's going to be an every game type of thing where the kicker has to be involved. And it may not happen as often as people are making out to be, but every kicker will find themselves involved in the making of special teams tackle this season. If the kicker had to make, if you look at the stats from the findings and the kicker made 14 tackles, that means that Chris Boswell, he will be involved in the play a lot. You may not think that 3.9% is a lot, but it is, for especially based off of how low often the kicker was involved the past few seasons when the rules were different. So looking at this, Christian Kuntz, the Pittsburgh Steelers long snapper, he went on a podcast to discuss this new topic, discuss the new special teams rules, and he was asked if Chris Boswell was ready to make some tackles. And this is what he had to say. Here's his quote. There was a stat that said 17% of kickoffs in the XFL, the kicker made the tackle, or at least was in on the tackle. That's a crazy number, man. Boswell is bulking. He could tackle. He could throw it. He could get in there. I hate to say it, I think there's going to be more injuries at the kicker position this year because of these tackles. End quote. So, the Steelers unfortunately know all too well about their kickers getting injured because of making tackles. In 2015, Sean Sweezum's career was effectively ended after attempting to make a tackle in the Hall of Fame game, resulting in a torn ACL. It probably wasn't the best idea for him to make a tackle in the preseason, but you could see how kickers could get injured based off doing stuff that they aren't used to doing. So, Sean Sweezum trying to make a tackle, and it cost him his career. So, looking at Chris Boswell, he stands at 6'2", 185 pounds. Obviously, this is before the bulk that Christian Kuntz said that he's putting on. So, you look at these kickers, they're not meant for tackling. Their bodies are meant for just kicking. That's literally the only thing they get in the game for. Kickoffs and field goals. They barely ever have to do a tackle on the kickoff. And when they do, usually try to avoid it at any means possible, meaning that they could chase the person as long as possible until someone else makes a tackle. That's usually what ends up happening. But now, with it being a closer playing field, and the kickers, like Christian Kuntz said, 17% of the kickoffs involved the kicker being involved in the play. That's a big portion of the game on special teams. So he has to be ready for anything possible. And also, when you look at this, Danny Smith basically already confirmed that Chris Boswell will be a part of this, saying that he's ready to be a part of the special teams and do whatever is necessary to help the Steelers win. So he's basically already said that Chris Boswell will participate in these kicks. And that's why we've heard around the league that some teams are considering not using their kicker for the kickoffs, and they're considering using other players, like maybe a safety or some other player that's good at kicking or at least has some experience in the position. For example, Eric Reed being a good kicker and him being able to make field goals, maybe his team decides to use him as a kickoff guy because at least he's the safety and he could make the tackle. And if he's involved in the play, then he's know what he's doing. So some of the kickers, that's why we heard around the league that they may not be involved and they may have to try out different stuff. So even if teams are trying out different players to do the kickoffs, you have to think about it like this. Even Presley Harvin III, when he had to do kickoffs that one game where Chris Boswell was getting injured, he couldn't kick the ball off. So it's not that easy. It's not that easy to get the ball down to the other field or other side. Presley Harvin III, who's the Steelers punter, you would think that he would be able to kick off the ball, at least get it decently far. But no, he couldn't. So it's not going to be as easy, and some teams are going to have a challenge with this. A challenge in deciding if they want to risk their position special teams player getting injured, or are they going to try out something new and try out a player at a different position, like maybe a safety or someone else who could kick the ball? We're going to have to wait and see. But for the Steelers specifically, Chris Boswell will be a part of it, per Danny Smith. Anyway, let's go back to the topic of this video in terms of the title, because Chris Boswell apparently is bulking up. But how much could he really bulk up in terms of being able to tackle? It's probably just a joke from Christian Kuntz, the long snapper, basically saying, hey, he's ready to do whatever is necessary, he's getting stronger, and it's probably just a saying, a laughing thing about Chris Boswell being involved in the kicks and him bulking up. It's probably not going to be a big difference, or if any at all, in terms of visibility of him being bigger, but obviously he's going to be more involved, and it will have to be a actual thing that happens in terms of him being able to participate in making tackles. But in terms of his body transformation, I'm sure it's not going to be that big of a difference. Anyway, let's move over to another kickoff thing, because Miles Kilabrew, Pittsburgh Steelers safety and special teams ace, was talking about the kickoff rule, and I just want to note one thing that he said. He was saying that he believes that there's going to be more touchdowns and explosive plays on the kickoff rule, because he said once you get past the first level of special teams defense, the second level will not be there, meaning that if you're able to get past that first layer, there's not going to be any other defenders basically on the second level, and it's going to be open field to run. And that's why it's going to be such more explosiveness and such more exciting to watch on the kickoffs. And it'll have a big difference and impact the games a lot. And that is why Danny Smith, earlier in the offseason, has said that Chris Boswell and the team are working on different style kicks. Pop-up kicks, squib kicks, just different type of kicks to not allow the kickoff returner to catch the ball cleanly and to have an impact on the play. We have to think this is going to be the first time that these rules are being implemented, so it's going to take a kind of minute to get used to in terms of fan perspective, but also the players as well. The players haven't had to go through this at all unless they played in the XFL before. So the players and the fans are both going to have to get used to it. But anyway, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below on this topic of this video about Chris Boswell and the kicker being involved in the special teams tackle more than like 17% of the play in terms of tackle, missed tackles, everything like that, just being involved in the play. And how do you feel about the Steelers using Chris Boswell? Do you think more injuries are going to happen because of this? Would you use Chris Boswell or do you use a different player? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let me know your thoughts about him bulking up apparently. And also one last thing, would you use Cordell Patterson to return kicks? Or would you use more of a faster, explosive type of player? I know Cordell Patterson has been a really good kick returner, but he doesn't have the speed he used to have, but he has the IQ. So would you use a faster player, or would you use Cordell Patterson for more explosiveness and his body transformation? Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. I covered everything Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason, and I'll continue to cover it as we head into training camp with all the highlights and analysis on that. So make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and turn notifications for this channel. But until next time, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.